And good evening to all of my BC WrestlePod nerds out there. Of course, I am Mikey El Jefe of BC WrestlePod. And of course, joining me this evening in a little bit is my man with the plan and, all the good independent stuff in Andrew, who will be popping in here shortly. And we are here with another Progress Wrestling review. This time we were reviewing Chapter 183, 100 Volts. This is a very big and special show for Progress, as this marks the 100th show at the Electric Ballroom, which is the iconic venue for all of things Progress Wrestling. Wow, it's crazy. I can't believe we're here. What a crazy show.
Yeah. This was fun. This was insane. It still was kind of crazy to hear them when they were talking about the history and stuff, which was a lot of fun, being relatively new to Progress, getting to catch up on some of the history, and obviously the fans who, the Electric Ballroom is their home, to just see their and feel their reactions.
Oh, 100%, no pun intended. So, you know what? By the end of it, I was like, that was the least of my worries, because everybody showed up and showed out. And I had a really fun time with this show. So, before we jump into everything proper, a little bit of, business that I got to take care of. If you like what you see here, and however you found us, whether it was a friend, the algorithm, or you randomly saw, hey, who are these two dudes reviewing Progress Wrestling? I like Progress. What do they have to say? Well, you can follow us, subscribe to our YouTube, follow us on Twitch or Kick, whatever your favorite streaming / video watching platform is, because we love having the interaction there. But we also understand that watching a full-length live or the edited videos might not be in your wheelhouse right now due to time constraints, because in 2025, time is a thing that does not exist for all of us anymore. So, but if you want to find a way to still interact with our BC WrestlePod community, then I highly recommend following us at BC WrestlePod on every single social media site that you feel comfortable doing, because we have our social media exclusive report cards for shows like these, as well as the weekly shows. And even though it's a lot of work, I also give you like, hey, are you planning to watch this show, this regular TV episode this week? Here's the preview of how tonight is gonna go. I say that, and I haven't done it the last 2 days because first full week of school has been crazy, especially since I'm teaching a new grade, y'all. I'm in charge of 8-year-olds. It's a lot of fun. Anyhow, Andrew's just like, be gone, thy demons. I'm just kidding. Also, may not be kidding. Tune in to
nice flavored gear for the fall.
I'm telling you, man. And then I already have plans, because Mariah Carey is thawing out earlier and earlier every single year. Be like, as soon as you hear that jingle. Anyways, but you can find all that in the link in the description below. Now, with that out of the way, let's get into why we're really here to talk about Chapter 183, 100 Volts. Again, we are not even a year into covering Progress, and the fact that we came in at the right time to be a part of this historic show is nuts, which makes me super excited. So, of course, Mr. Jerry, we love you. Always our MC for these things. So good. So let's just jump straight into the action, because we kick things off with 100 Volts with our triple threat for, our Atlas Championship, which saw the champion, Mike DeVecchio, who just recently won this at Stay Humble, taking on, the family of the Money family, Gene Money, and returning from his Japan excursion, and Will Cruz. I had a great time with this match. This was really, really fun. Will Cruz, I have missed you so much. I mean, he's been busy with his Japan excursion, and then also, of course, him and our lovely favorite, Rain Leverkusen, representing the Brits during tryout weekends over SummerSlam, which was great to have. But happy to see Will Cruz here. And we're kind of combining two different things. Yes, this is for the Atlas Championship, but this is also, we were supposed to get Gene versus Will at Stay Humble, but we did not. So now it was for the championship in this triple threat. Every time I see Mike D, man, holy crap, this man just is like amazing. And, we're going to talk about him in a little bit, because spoiler alert, Andrew, Mike D is no longer Atlas champion, which is crazy. And what's even crazier is that the winner of this match and new Atlas champion is Gene Money, which I think is setting up, of course, the feud between him and Will, which is going to be fun. Really quickly, though, shout out to Nick, homie to the channel. Hi, Nick. Love you. Anyways, yeah, Andrew, what did you think of our triple threat opening up 100 volts?
I was definitely surprised. I did not think that Mike D was going to drop the title this quick. He literally just won it. Although my perspective on him winning it was also skewed because between him winning it and this, I also got to watch him wrestle in GFW and WXW. So I feel like I've seen him wrestle a lot, but he actually hasn't wrestled in Progress since winning it. So I was very surprised, though I had a feeling like this was going to happen. I thought the scenario was going to be one of two things. It was either going to be what happened, or Gene Money was going to cause Will Cruz to not win too. Like, basically, he was going to do something to cause Will Cruz to lose one way or the other. I thought maybe he might do something that allowed Mike D to retain, or that what happened was, he basically took advantage and picked up the victory for himself. Outside of that surprise, I thought the match was really fun. It was good. We got to see some big moments with Will. He keeps looking better and better. I mean, this guy's a future star, I think, for sure. Mike D is phenomenal. He just shows that you can be a powerhouse and fly, and I like what we're seeing. So I hope we get to see more of him, even though he dropped the title. And Gene Money, his character might be super irritating, but he's a vet. He does it really well, and I'm interested to see what we're gonna see with him as the champ. If he's gonna face Will Cruz directly, or is he gonna like drag this on and kind of use it as another way to manipulate him?
Yeah, so I'm very interested to see where Gene and Will go from here. Of course, well, Will and commentary to a certain extent let us know that it's gonna be a while before we see Mike D back here in Progress. So it's just like, I didn't see anything about possibly him going to the Fed, which is okay, but who knows? For some reason, I'm mixing him and somebody else up in TNA land, because I was like, didn't Mike D win the gut check from TNA? And I was just like, I don't remember. It's been a while. I mean, look how long it is. We finally got Harley coming into TNA finally after what it seems like a year and a half, 2 years. But I digress. But yeah, Mike D, I'm going to be on the lookout for you because I want to see more of you because I think you're fun. And yeah, I'm really excited to see what happens with Gene Money and Will Cruz in this match. And I think this was a really smart and fun way to open up the show. So now let's get into what happened next, because first of all, Progress, I want to say this with all love. I love that you give these graphics in the emails that you send to BC Wrestle Pod, because they are fantastic, and these are the resolutions that I love because it fits the whole screen. But every graphic is great. Not every match gets a big graphic though, and that is okay. So, okay, let's be completely honest here. I enjoyed every single match. I don't think there was a single match that I thought was kind of a stinker. I will say this was probably my least favorite match, but even then I still enjoyed it because I knew what we were getting. This was more to propel a storyline than anything else. So we get Lana Austin versus Alexis Falcon, and the added stipulation to this is that if Alexis could beat Lana, then she would become #1 contender for the Progress Women's Championship. And of course, commentary made it an abundant fact that Alexis and Rio are besties, are homies, are the girl squad. So it's just like, I feel like I know where this is going. I have to say, there is a soft spot in my heart for, characters like Lana Austin, where she's just like, she just don't give a what. But she's like, I'm not here. I'm trying not to wrestle, but if this means I can, crush Alexis's dreams, I'm going to do it in that while also, doing what I want. So I love characters like that where there's just like, I don't want to be here, but if that means I can destroy your dreams, then I'm going to. I actually really enjoyed Alana here too, because again, we support body types and all sorts here at BC WrestlePod, and I'm down with the thickness, so to speak.
But I also enjoy when we get to see two commentators who are a little more like traditional sports commentary, where it's like they're just there literally to comment on like what's happening, and so I think they work really well together. And I think especially in this matchup, and they consistently do this, is they help tell the story. They're like the narrators of what we're watching, and so it was cool to like find out more information about the history between Lana Austin and Alexis Falcon, how Lana Austin is essentially banned from challenging for the Progress Women's title, but if she wins here, she gets that right back, essentially. And so I like that they added that heaviness to it, that weight. And I would love to see something like that, because we've seen it so often in professional wrestling, like, oh, if you don't beat me, you can't ever challenge for this title again, or you can't challenge while I'm the champion, or whatever. I like this idea of like, if you get blocked out from challenging for a title or whatever, the only way to like regain it is to beat that person that you lost lost that opportunity to. But, you know, and I do think it's smart story building wise, because as we find out later, you know, we're going to need more challengers to that Progress Women's World title, especially because we have a match coming up where we're likely to lose one of our top contenders. So
and we'll get into that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's cool to like see them build some of that story up, and I enjoy both of these characters and these performers. So I thought it was good.
So shout out to her, and I believe she faced Persephone for CMLL. Yeah, I believe so, in one of the two shows, or I could be mixing. There's a lot of wrestling this past weekend, you guys. So everything tends to blur.
Yeah, there were quite a few carryovers from this show from the big weekend for Rev Pro and their anniversary shows.
Also, if y'all haven't, please go out of your way to watch Michael Oku versus Leon Slater at those shows from this past weekend, because I was just like, these two are like literally the future of the business, like, and they're both under the age of like 25, which is nuts.
No, Mike 30, but still,
sorry,
they're young.
He played again. He looks like he's younger, but shout out to Alexis Falcon. She is now our #1 contender to the Progress Women's Championship, which is a lot of fun. And that energy kind of started to build its momentum because it carried us over into one of the matches that made me smile a lot for how ridiculously fun this was. Listen, sometimes wrestling needs to be stupid funny, and exactly was what it was. So first of all, so this was a Fantastic Four-way, because we're still promoting Fantastic Four. By the way, y'all should go watch it, please. It was actually really fun. I had a great time with it. Like, it was a good time. But this was our Fantastic Four-way for the Progress Proteus Championship. And the stipulation here was the fans bring the weapons. So before we even had the match start, I'm looking around the ring and I was like, I see a lot of rubber chickens. I see some other stuff. Is that a knight's helmet? What? I was like, all we're missing is just like one of those singing fish you put on the wall. Like, for
when they have matches like this, I wonder what the box looks like of the things that they had to confiscate and be like, yeah, you can't have that be one of the weapons.
Which is crazy. So of course, the fans bring the weapons to be used, and our 4 participants include our current Proteus champion, Paul Walter Hauser. Love him. The internet's darling, the Mr. Ups and Downs himself, and you know, the bald man, Simon Miller, who I love. Now, I'm not saying that I didn't realize how big Bullet was when he initially returned at Stay Humble, but looking in his ring gear, I'm like, my God, you are a massive mountain of a man. And also, call me. But we have Bullet returning into in-ring action here, as well as the internet and my personal favorite twat, Charles Crowley. God, I love Charles so much. He is fantastic. This was just silly fun. There were so many good moments here. Of course, you know, we have Simon and Paul Walter Hauser taking on Bullet. The moment where Charles Crowley keeps, you know, breaking out of the pin thanks to the balloons kind of lifting up his arm with Bullet being the straight man in this match and just be like, I can't believe I have to deal with this crap.
Yeah.
Like, but also Bullet, I did not know your vibe, and holy hell, you hit hard. And I did. Simon Miller also throwing people around. Paul Walter Hauser, I love how much you respect this business, because again, when we have celebrities come into the wrestling world, we usually roll our eyes because we're like, all right, whatever. But again, man's putting in the work. He has wrestled in other promotions, like him and Joey Janela had a street fight at, you know, one of these indie events too. And say what you will about QT Marshall, this man and, you know, Paul Walter Hauser and QT are going to have a match at Death Before Dishonor tomorrow evening. So that's a lot of fun. Paul Walter Hauser is also heavily involved with Major League Wrestling, MLW. This was a silly match. I enjoyed it. Paul Walter Hauser does retain the championship here. This was a blast. Andrew, what did you think of this match?
This was another outcome I was surprised by. I mean, I know that he's spending a lot of time in wrestling, which it also surprised me because he is showing up in a lot of places, but he's making a lot of appearances. You know, we got the special cameo by Liam Neeson.
That was wild, and I was dying.
And Bullet trying to pin him. But, you know, he's in the Naked Gun movie, and, like, obviously they shoot these movies. It's not like he's shooting those movies right now. Like, they shot them and they're being released, but I'm assuming he's, you know, still working because he's got a lot of movies coming out. So he's got a very busy schedule, so I was surprised. I thought maybe this would be the point when they would drop that title off of him. But all that aside, it was ridiculous. It was silly. It was stupid, but in the best possible ways. It was super fun, which is like really what this title has like kind of become, you know, synonymous with, especially because the whole idea is like the champ gets to pick the stipulation. And I love that it's like continued on with this more and more. And a lot of the characters in her are perfect. I thought it was great having Bullet get to be kind of the straight man of this group and be the odd one out, as opposed to all of these other wrestlers being the odd ones when they wrestle in regular matches. I really liked the fact that this was the second time that Charles Crowley and Simon Miller were not involved in the finish. So that means that like they haven't really lost for that title yet. So I'm hoping that we're going to continue to see this, especially if Paul Walter Hauser is not going to be able to be in Progress like regularly. Having Simon Miller and Charles Crowley continuously trying to like get at each other and like beat each other to figure out who gets to challenge for that title gives us a story that's based around the title without necessarily needing the champ to be there the whole time. And I like the fact that we get to keep them in that, because I think both of them are interesting choices, and I think it could be built to a really good way where whoever wins out of the two of them, if they're the ones to eventually dethrone Paul Walter Hauser, then I think, you know, it gives them a good propulsion into the future with that title. And they're just super entertaining to watch and ridiculous to see facing each other. So I'm here for more of these matches.
I love the Proteus Championship and the weird stipulations we always get with them. So much fun. But I 100% agree with you in the sense that because Bullet was the one to take the pin here, that Simon and Charles and Crowley here are still technically in the conversation to get another shot at this Proteus Championship. I'm gonna be so for real. I really hope that whatever the reason is, we build to a triple threat for Vendetta. Like that's where I want to see this come to a head at Vendetta, which is, you know, Progress's big and almost end of the year show outside of unboxing. But man, this was a lot of fun. And again, like so far, I was just like, okay, we're getting like the energy going. This crowd is great. Like this is a fun show. What's next for us?
Yeah.
So I had to think about this. As much as I really enjoyed the main event because, you know, it's a stipulation. I'm a sicko for stipulation matches, and God, that was a lot of fun. I think just pure wrestling, this is probably this is my favorite match of the entire card. Oh my God. So this was for the Progress Women's World Championship. This was the challenger Kanji taking on the champion and Miss Rio. My God, these two beat the piss out of each other. I was like, this is what women's wrestling is in 2025, and I am here for it.
Yeah, if you haven't seen the Rev Pro shows from this last weekend, you should definitely go watch the trios match with Kanji, Danny Luna, and Mercedes Monet against Cutthroat Collective, which include Alex Windsor and Nina Samuels. And so like we're getting to watch, like there was 6 women that were just like kicking ass the entire match. It was awesome. But this match, we just continued that. Yeah, this was awesome to see.
Like again, I don't have enough words to eloquently express in the English dictionary of how much this match made me super excited and happy throughout the whole entire time. But again, near falls, we get fighting in the audience. Both like towards the tail end, they keep giving them the stiff like elbow shots, crazy. And again, because of how crazy this match was, Rio does end up retaining the championship, but it's because that the ref had to stop continuing shot after shot to the back of Kanji's neck and head as she was just like sprawled out onto the floor. I'm not saying that Rio turned heel, but like she snapped and it was like, oh God, she scared me. I'm kind of here for it.
Well, this match, I like the way that it was built because Kanji was much more of the like brawler style. And so it really, I love the way it told the story. Again, it showed Rio having to essentially power through all of Kanji's like attacks and like get through that surgical precision where she targeted the arm and she went after it, and then Rio had to like essentially grit her teeth and just kind of push through it, and then Kanji had to be smart about it and avoid the power of Rio. And the finish I thought was great. I actually enjoyed it because it kind of ties into like regular combat sports, the idea of like a TKO finish. It gives it a sense of realism, and I like the story that it kind of told. And to be fair, depending on what happens with Kanji's next match, she could potentially be like, well, you never pinned me, you didn't submit me, like the ref called the match, like, you know, you should, like, I should get another shot at this. So it still leaves that window open if she ever wanted to, like, try to say she still deserves a rematch for that shot. But this match continued, like this match and the next two matches after it were just like matches that I was like, these could be matches of the night easily on any day.
Honestly, and that's how strong 100 volts was. And you know what? From this match onwards, even with, you know, what I call the exhibition match, our semi-main event with our you know, debut from our Noah star,
Yeah.
I was like, holy hell, like I could take these matches and I'm like, honestly, I can make an argument for them being match of the night and definitely put a lot of these on probably some of my favorite matches this year too, which is crazy in terms of the internationals, which is hard because a lot of the international shows have made my list this year. But again, Rio retains. She is still our Progress Women's World Champion. After the match, Kanji is, of course, you know, understandably upset about the outcome. But her night was not over quite yet because then she gets brutalized by a pink stiletto or a pink stiletto boot in the form of Miss Nina Samuels. Nina comes down. She beats up on Kanji. Nina gets on the mic. She's, you know, and I actually really like this promo that Nina cut. Again, it'd be that intense heel promo. It's just like, I told you that, you know, enjoy your time while I'm away because when I come back, you know, it's not going to be as great. And then we get the official confirmation that at Camden Lockup, which is chapter 184, happening at the end of September, it is Kanji versus Nina Samuels. Loser leaves Progress. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what we're going to do. Like, it could go either way.
I mean, you've got two who are, you're talking about Nina, Kanji, and Rio are probably the top three women in Progress right now. And so you've got two title contenders. They're two former champs. They're two title contenders, recognizable names. One of them is going to leave. I could see either of them leaving because they're potentially looking at other companies. So it's one of those things where I'm just like, I don't know. Without hearing rumors of one of them like looking or being signed by somebody else, I'm not sure because I feel like I could see the scenario for either of them. And I also feel like losing either of them is a huge blow to Progress, but I'm excited because this is the Nina Samuels that I wanted to see when she took that title back from Kanji or from Rio.
Right.
And I've really enjoyed getting to see her wrestle other places because I've gotten to see more of this side of her. You know, she's part of that Cutthroat Collective group in Rev Pro, and getting to see her be a little more aggressive and, you know, like she's always been kind of dirty, like a dirty tactics kind of wrestler, but there's a little more aggression to it. And I like what we're seeing. And even though, you know, we're supposed to hate her for being the heel and attacking Kanji after the match and all that kind of stuff, like I want to see this danger because if I'm going to believe that she's going to beat Rio, especially legitimately, or at least, you know, mostly legitimately, I need to see this Nina. And if it's going to be Kanji that's going to win, I want to see that she has to beat that Nina Samuels.
Yeah, so there's compelling stories going both ways and motivations for both of these women to give it everything they have to be the one to get to stay here in Progress. Yep. So I'm excited. I'm bummed we don't get to do a watch along, or I might do a review for Camden at least, because I feel like it's only fair for me to do a review for Progress because we have yet to miss a Progress show. I mean, we weren't even going to cover the Vegas show. And then after Progress reached out to us, let us know we were doing great. I was like, all right, well, I guess we're adding that to our list. So I at least want to do a review for Camden Lockup, even if it's just me, because nobody else wants to cover British wrestling. I'm just kidding. I'm not putting the boys on blast. They got lives, of course. But damn, this match was awesome and I loved it. And you know what? The same can be applied for this one too. Holy shit. So, of course, it different, you know, on different days, Andrew and I saw Ricky Knight Jr. lose his Rev Pro championship to the lovely Shaw Samuels over there. I was just like, I love Shaw so much.
Such a good match, and the ending was just so great.
For reals. So Ricky Knight Jr. is taking on the Black Swan of Progress Wrestling, and my personal favorite, Exotico, is what we call our exotic wrestlers in Mexico. And Cara, no, this match rolled as well. Holy crap! I mean, Cara's always great, but I was like, Ricky,
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep my eye on you, Ricky. Like for real.
Yeah.
I was like, there was a reason you were champion in Rev Pro recently.
Luke Jacobs, he's a Gabe Kid. He's got that kind of quality to him. And when I was watching him in the Rev Pro main event, I had to go and check because I was like, wait, is he Soraya's brother? And then I went and I was like, wait, she's his aunt? And then I looked up, I was like, dude, this guy is so young. But he's got, obviously he comes from a huge wrestling family, but dang, man, yeah, he's got a career, dude.
No, and it definitely showed. And both of these men, like this was, again, I use this term a lot in CMLL, especially, he's in the ring, he takes off his knee pad, he wipes off the makeup and is just heads backstage. I was like, we're going to put a pin in that because he makes a reappearance later in the show. So we're going to talk about that moment. But Andrew, in terms of the in-ring, what did we think of Ricky Knight Jr. versus Cara Noir?
I mean, I thought it was an excellent fight. Like I said, at this point, this was challenging the women's world title match as match of the night for me. And all things being fair, Cara Noir, has been on quite the losing streak. But I feel like he's faced off like killers in the ring. Like everyone he's lost to, like it's other than him being who he is, there's no shame in losing to the people that he lost to.
No. So let's go over the list of people he's faced because that list is kind of crazy to me, right? So in no particular order, Trent Seven, Minoru Suzuki, Luke Jacobs twice, and that's just like the start of the list. Like again, Cara Noir continues to be a facet for Progress, but I actually like it. And again, it kind of ties into, without spoiling too much, what happens at the end, because I was like, now it's full circle, and now we reached the breaking point.
That's what I've been asking for. Yeah, so we'll talk about that when we get to that. But this match itself was awesome. It was so good. It showed the skills of both wrestlers. It showed, Ricky Knight is a star and Cara Noir is a vet. Like, simple as that.
Exactly. So I hope to see more of Ricky here. I mean, we know he's in Rev Pro, but I would like for him to jump back and forth between these two companies because we love them both. Alrighty. Oh, yeah, for sure. So after this match, they're great. I like this. Chuck, you are my spirit animal. You and your mohawk. I love you so damn much. But this is a rematch for the Progress Tag Team Championships. Of course, we got this rematch because the tapes were released to the social medias that, Kid Lycos here, a loaded knee in that match. And even though we didn't see it, I was like, he did it. But this prompted this rematch. So, of course, we have the champions of Lycos Gym, Kid Lycos, and, tag team partner Lycos 2, taking on the Sunshine Machine. I love Sunshine Machine so much. Also, shout out to the boys being a part of the Mercedes Monet's entrance during Forbidden Door. Love them. I was like, I know a lot of these guys. So, I mean, what can you say? Lycos Gym is an amazing tag team. I've become such a big fan of Sunshine Machine since we started covering Progress. I was like, I love these dudes as a team. This was a lot of fun. And I'm just like, Chuck, are you going to wrestle with those big old, with that big old necklace on the whole time? Oh, okay, cool. These are the weird things I think about. But again, Andrew, it seems that, Kid Lycos is not playing fair because he hits, we don't know, commentary, cameras didn't cut it, which I was like, I love this, camera people. We love you for this. But once again, Chuck is out cold, which would allow Lycos Gym to pick up the win and retain their tag team titles. We're going to talk about the post-match angle that happened. But what did you think of our rematch between Lycos Gym and Sunshine Machine?
I mean, they're two phenomenal tag teams. There's no doubt about that. They're two top-tier tag teams. It's super weird because I've been, since our last Progress event, I've been watching Sunshine Machine become heels especially in Rev Pro, where Sunday, so the night before this, they came out and they essentially said that they were dropping the sunshine out of it and they were just the machine. but I don't think that was official. But they're heels, like they walked out in a match, and then they come out here and they're like the face is getting cheered by everyone. So I love that fans can compartmentalize between companies. It's fun. But the match was awesome. It was so good. They hit all the high spots. It was a lot of entertainment, and they also told some really good stories. I love that we're keeping this going. I have a feeling I know where it's going just because of how things ended, but I would like to see if they could play with some ideas of Lycos 2 being maybe giving us the idea that like maybe he's willing to, like maybe he can be convinced to kind of go to the dark side, as it were, and stay with his partner. Or is this going to be the end of Lycos Gym, and we're going to see them go their separate ways in singles? And will that set up for other people to win the title? Because obviously afterwards we got some more potential contenders. So yeah, but the match itself was super good, and I loved the action and the storytelling.
Well, let's talk about that post-ankle match, because again, Chuck Mambo is still laid out and he is knocked, in the words of Friday, he got knocked the fudge out, which then of course, sent Mr. TK Cooper into a tizzy. And then Lycos 2 was like, hey man, like I'm trying to be the peacemaker here.
Yeah.
And then, Kid Lycos exits the ring and because it's like, you know what, I'm done with all of you and I'm tired of being accused of things that I possibly did, but we'd have no proof about it, kind of stuff. I was like, good. So as people in the ring are staring at, going up to the ramp, Diamond Eyes appear and attack everybody in the ring. So TK Cooper, Lycos 2, Chuck Mambo, and you know what? Kid Lycos was there watching it all go down, and then he comes running to the ring. We're thinking, oh my gosh, he's not going to leave his tag team partner. No. Lycos, he goes in and he takes the championships and then runs and goes backstage, letting Diamond Eyes continue to beat up on everybody in the ring. I'm like, damn, but I'm here for it. I was like, damn.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that bothers me about that is like the logic of it is like I get self-preservation. He's supposed to be underhanded and things like that, and maybe it's gonna try and spin it like he was trying to teach him a lesson. But if you're that worried about losing the titles, so you ran back to get the titles, like you're not gonna be able to keep them without your partner. So I might have liked to have seen Lycos 2 get beat up a bit and then him begrudgingly pull him out, like I still need you kind of a thing. But I do think it's interesting setting up. Obviously there's going to be some kind of showdown between the two of them, because he's going to be like, yo, what the hell, why'd you leave me? Like, not only did you not help anyone, but like you at least could have helped me, your partner and supposedly your friend.
Yeah, so and again, you mentioned that you have an idea where this might go. I also think I have an idea. I don't know if it's the same one, but I'm like, I smell a triple threat, or which you probably is going to, again, I'm calling my shot here. I'm possibly going to be wrong, but I was like, this screams Vendetta match. It's called Vendetta, but I do hope the path to that triple threat, like you said, they play with the tropes a bit in a unique and different way. Because I'm like, I think the triple threat is going to be great, but let's try not to use the same playbooks that we've seen triple threat tag teams in, like, I don't know, since wrestling's been a thing here in our lives. So, but this was a fun tag team championship match, and I look forward to see what, Progress does with the story going forward. But moving on, this is our semi-main event. This was the exhibition match I was talking about earlier in the show, where we get, Charlie Sterling again. I'm always going to be a sucker for We Know Need. I was like, oh no, the content striking gods are coming from my internet right now. I was like, no. Anyways, so Sterling coming out in his, new suit, which I'm here for. And he's on, our debuting in Progress, at least on his excursion, as commentary let us know, in wrestling, Pro Wrestling Noah's 01. And he's part of Team 1000X, which is like the big faction in Noah, which is great. I like this match. Again, watches New Japan and covers that in depth. There are certain character tropes when it comes to Japanese wrestlers that I really, really love. And of course, I love Owada-san being like technically the young, cocky wrestler, because he was playing with Charlie Sterling at the beginning of this match, and then Charlie gave it back to him, and then we got into it. I thought this was a really fun exhibition match for Owada-san, getting him in front of the crowd. The crowd loved on, and Charlie Sterling for that matter too. But could not, come up against the might of Charlie Sterling, as Charlie does pick up a victory, and he is been on a roll with wins as of late as too. So to see more of a Wada-san in progress, because again, like when we saw with Super Strong Style 16 with our 2 Noah representatives, those were a lot of fun as well. Andrew, what did you think of this match between Charlie Sterling and?
I mean, I thought it was fun. It was a good, solid matchup between the two of them. I'm liking what they're doing with Charlie Sterling, really kind of like pushing him along here, getting him some good matches. I wouldn't be surprised if we eventually see him in, say, like the Atlas title picture. I think that would be a good place for him to go. And Iwata-san looked good. Like, I thought it was really interesting to see these two face each other because they were very similar in their styles. So I thought it actually made for a really good matchup because it was Charlie Sterling facing off against, for him, who's like this new guy from another company and everything, and going like, oh, wow, this guy kind of does the stuff I can do. And then is fighting, someone who's might be a little more experienced or more familiar with the people there at least. And so it was like they gave each other a lot of challenges. There was a lot of back and forth. And I thought it was a really solid win for Charlie Sterling and really moves him on.
Yeah, so I agree. I would like to see Charlie in the Atlas Championship picture scene, which, would give him, well, not something to do, but it would mix him in with Gene and Will and everybody there, especially now that since Mike D is going to be gone for, the unforeseeable future, at least in progress. Fun to add another person into that scene, but we got to move on, Andrew, because when I say 0-1, you say 2-1, 0-1, 2-1. You know me. I love Darius so damn much, but this was our main event. I'm gonna be so for real, Andrew. When we started getting entrances and I paused because I was like, oh, I dropped something. I looked at it. I was like, oh my God, I still have like 50 minutes left. What are we about to watch? Progress. I was like, oh my goodness. So we get our main event, which is a TLC match for the Progress World Championship. Going into this match, it is our champion Luke Jacobs taking on the winner of Super Strong Style 16 and using that to win to call his shot here at 100 volts in Mr. 0121 himself, man like Darius. I really love the vamped up entrances that we got. We got the violinist playing for both entrances, which was fantastic. I was like, it was a new spin. Then the bell rang and I was like, listen, I love all types of wrestling, but Andrew and Will, one of our other co-hosts, know me very well. I am quiet, but I am a sick freak inside because Lord have mercy. I love me a good, there's blood. There was thumbtacks, tables, chairs. Like Luke Jacobs is always bleeding every time I see him now. Like we had scissors, Andrew, scissors. It's like, oh my God, we're not watching a match anymore. Somebody's about to kill somebody and I'm kind of here for it. But holy crap, this was like a 40-minute war. And I was just like, everybody was fighting. This was fantastic. And damn, they both were on their last leg. But Darius managing to push Jacobs off for him to land into the corner with the exposed, wood and the thumbtacks, which would allow Darius to reach up and grab that Progress World Champion. So your winner and new Progress World Champion, man like Darius. I mean, that's all I had to say. I have nothing else because this match was nuts. I literally don't have a lot of notes because I was glued to my screen the entire time. Like, I kid you not. I had to go back and do a quick watch through again to have some notes. But even then, I was like, holy shit. I was like, this is how you build and bill a main event. But Andrew, I want to get your thoughts because then we also have a post angle that is also very important too. But what did you think of our TLC match between Darius and Jacobs?
I mean, it's all right. No, I'm just kidding. This was my match of the night. It was awesome. It had everything that I wanted it to, and I've seen quite a few of these matches over the last few weeks between Homecoming, Rev Pro Anniversary, 100 volts. And maybe it's just because this last weekend was such a milestone weekend for so many of the companies that I watch. But this hit. I mean, the in-ring action was phenomenal. It was so much fun. I mean, these two were just going everywhere, beating the crap out of each other, using all of the props that they got to use for this matchup. Still had the solid wrestling in there that both of them were capable of. It had the storyline. We had Darius, who has lost to Jacobs like every time it's important. Luke Jacobs has been holding this title for so long, and he's been such a dominant champion. And Darius has just got like this momentum behind him. He won this big tournament in Super Strong Style 16 in order to get this title shot. We've seen him building up to this point, and then with him winning it at the end, and just like that fanfare and everything in his speech at the end, like it told the story. It had the action. It was very cinematic in the way that it was put together. So it really did hit all those notes for me, and I think this is a good spot for Darius to like kind of finally move into. The first time I got exposed to Darius was actually watching GCW, and when he would come over and wrestle for them. And so to kind of see where he's progressed over the year or so that I've like been able to watch him, dethroning someone like Luke Jacobs, who's very active in other promotions as well. So I think this was a good transition to give Jacobs a chance to kind of step out of the title picture, and for Darius to really step up and like claim his time and his spot. And I'm really excited to see who he's going to be facing, who are the challengers he's going to defend that title against too. And it just felt like it was very satisfying in the conclusion of how this all kind of played out, and good on him. So yeah, this was awesome. This was a great way to end a really, really good night.
100%. This was such a good main event, and it was like 40 minutes. It was fantastic. And then when the match was over, when Darius climbed down for the ladder with the title, I was like, we still have like 15 minutes. Like, what is about to happen? So a lot of that 15 minutes, so to speak, is, and you know what? I especially love our international shows, but I don't want to say Progress is like an indie like that, but like the fact that Darius actually got to, Darius, like you've earned extra points for me, because not only did, of course, the typical thank the fans and everybody, but listen, as somebody who has friends in, all sorts of facets of different things, Darius thanked like the producers, the people who make him ring gear, which I was like, yes, Darius, because these ring gear people I feel like don't get their flowers like they should, and because they make some incredible stuff that goes with the character and everything.
Yeah.
And you could tell that Darius is like so happy about this whole thing, and I was just like, oh my god, I love it. We get like multiple laps with the crowd carrying Darius around. And then they allow Darius to go up to the ramp. But Andrew.
That's what I've been waiting for.
So earlier, like about 25 minutes ago, we were talking about how we were wondering at this point of the show, after Car Noir lost to Ricky Knight Jr., what's next for the Black Swan has now turned murderous, because Car Noir comes out and he beats up Darius, and the face paint, oh my god, it was so evil. Slit back hair, the red like eyeshadow is just like this. And you know what? Listen, I'm not a theater person, but Car Noir, I feel like have to have some training, because the whole new like vibe he was giving with the scrunched up face too on purpose, like he was pursing his lip. I was just like, oh god, this terrifies me. But I'm also really excited, because now it seems like, all right, I think we just found her. I think we have Darius's like first major feud as champion now, while Luke Jacobs goes and, relaxes a little bit after being a whole entire champion for pretty much the whole year, I should say. But Andrew, like this darker Car Noir excites me. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, for sure. This is what I was hoping. They talked about his losing streak, and we talked about it at the last show, how he's been on this losing streak, and I felt like if he keeps losing, this is where we're going to go. And I'm so happy that this happened, because obviously this is likely going to be the person that's going to face off against, or at least build to the facing off between the two of them, because we're getting a new car, like who's like, it's that frustration of like, I was the best, I came back, and I haven't been able to win. Like, not only has he not been able to be where he was, he's literally like consistently losing. And so it's just like that frustration is boiling over, and especially in juxtaposition to a champ like Darius, who is just, boisterous behavior. It's in the title. Like, he's boisterous, he's happy, he's excited, he's fun. He just wants to be there and loves what he's doing. And so like there's such a good opposition between the two of them. And I loved it. I loved at the very end when he just like, was like straight faced, and then all of a sudden he smiles and then flips off the fans and just like walks out. And it's just, it's so great because he, even when he was losing, he was still so over with the fans. Like everyone just loved him. And that's the perfect time to do a heel turn because it like hurts the fans so much more. Like they see their hero become the villain, and it's just it was perfect. And I love the little things. Like he took the face paint off so he could come back in with different face paint, and it really, like, the way they did it, it was, it's very classic. It's like theater throughout all different countries like have that kind of thing of the different things that, whether it's even in film, it's the black hat and the white hat in westerns, it's the different face makeup or paint masks in like kabuki and things like that. So to see him change that style, and then the slicked back hair was just such a nice little touch. And so I'm excited to see what we're going to get more from both of these guys.
No, 100%. And again, shout out to Darius and Jacobs for putting on a main event. And Car Noir versus Darius is whenever we get it. And I'm excited for it, which is going to be good. But that brings us to the end of 100 Volts. Man, this was a really fun show to watch and then to get to review too. But, we still have a whole couple of months left in the year. And at this point, we pretty much know the remaining schedule for Progress, which is also kind of nice and nuts as well. So between now and the end of this year, whereas like during the summer, we kind of had to wait a month and a half, we're literally getting a Progress show every single month for the remainder of the year, which is nuts. And we're getting 2 in November, but I digress. So this is how Progress is lining it up. Chapter 183, 100 Volts. We are done. We have put it in the book. Now we look forward to chapter 184, which is Camden Lock Up, in which we know one of the matches, which is Kanji versus Nina Samuels. Loser leaves Progress, so that match is going to be crazy. Then in October, we learned during the show that we are getting chapter 185, which is, of course, and I'm going to say it because I can, in Jumping the Line. Like, Jumping the Line is the October show. And I was just like, okay, this is going to be the spiffy show, and I'm kind of here for it. Then we get 2 shows in November. We get kind of like another live show with Noisy Neighbors, chapter 187. No, not 7. I don't know why I'm jumping ahead. Chapter 186. And then, Andrew, it leads into Vendetta 3 at the end of November, which is going to be nuts. So we got Camden Lockup, Jump in the Line, and Noisy Neighbors, and then it's Vendetta. So I'm really excited to get to experience our first Vendetta show from Progress.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy.
So I'm super excited, but that's going to be it for us here at the Progresses. But before we go, it's been a jam-packed 2 weeks, and I think because of the hustle that we've been putting in the 2 weeks, that's the reason why. I would like to shout out to everybody who's been watching us over the last couple of weeks, because it's pushed us over to the 400 YouTube subscribers threshold, which was nuts. I was like, oh my God, there are 400 people who like these weirdos talking about wrestling. This is crazy, but we're going to do our best to keep it up. And I appreciate, and I wanted to thank everybody who watches and has been supporting us for the last 3 years. And to my host for giving their all too. They don't get paid. I wish I could, because they deserve it, but I can't do this without them. And it's partially to them that we've been as successful as we are. But enough of the mushy stuff. Let's get back into the business side of things, because it doesn't end, Andrew. I'm almost at the finish line, because these last 2.5 weeks have been nonstop, but I'm almost done. So we got 2 more things left this week. Tomorrow evening at 7:30 p.m. Pacific, the TNA boys of the Takedown Troop, myself, the 2 Wills, and JT, we will be covering another hopefully fun edition of TNA. We're also going to be talking about, now that we have a new TNA Knockouts World Champion due to the events of Heatwave this past weekend. So, which, I'm excited for Will to give his commentary on that, because we had a really good chat about that during the review. But then we are finally wrapping up a nonstop 3 weeks of action on Saturday morning, as I will be up bright and early and full of wrestling cheer to review Death Before Dishonor. Today, we got 2 more matches made for the card because Dustin Rhodes is out having to get double knee surgery. Poor dude. Sammy is going to be pulling double duty as he will be defending the Trios Championships with the Von Erichs against Shane Taylor Promotions. And then Sammy and a mystery partner will be defending the ROH tag titles against the Outrunners. And I'm like, Tony Khan, you coward. Let the Outrunners win. But I don't think so. But I still think it's going to be a fun. Echiseto and Bandito is going to eat. Like, I'm so excited for that match. I cannot lie. But yeah, that's going to be it for us here at the Progressives. And from myself and Andrew and the rest of the BC WrestlePod family, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay Bi-Conic, and more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. We will catch you tomorrow evening for our TNA review, and then y'all can see me Saturday for ROH. But until those two reviews, this is going to be Mikey WrestlePod signing us out for the evening. So until next time, and peace.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another Vibe Tribe production. What's going to happen next time? Well, you're going to have to tune in to find out. But until then, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, and as always, make sure that you keep the good times rolling. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you next time.